Hey there viewers, my name's Torinski and welcome back to another Bonus Tuesday stream. It's been a little bit since we were on here. I definitely enjoyed my trip, got a lot of different jobs done. I was working a pretty eclectic collection of things over the last week and a half or so, but excited to be back. A little bit of trepidation, a little bit of nervousness as well, but I'm sure we'll get right back into the groove of things right away here. And yeah, hey, Cali Commuter, Lynn, Egley, and Brain as well. It's lovely to see all of you once more here after a decent little break. Definitely appreciate the welcome back. Hope things are going well in Germany, Lynn. And yeah, thank you so much, Brain, for the resubscription 4 months in a row now. It's crazy how that number is added up over the last little while here. Time flies, for sure, to say the least. But here we are, back at it again, and as usual for our Tuesdays, we'll of course be jumping right back in to our attempt at a 15 rune Felid here with Covil 91. Not only is my nervousness extended to just being back on stream once more here, but also with jumping back into our cat here because skills might be a little bit rusty. I'm hoping not too much has managed to alleviate itself from my brain over the course of the last little while, but there's only one way to get back into the rhythm of things, back into the groove as I mentioned earlier, and that's to just do it, I guess. So without further ado, let's start checking out our cat here and planning for the future. I know one thing that we were talking about at the end of our last stream a couple weeks back with this character was how we were getting ready to jump right into the endgame stuff, maybe heading into Pan, the Hells, who knows where or what. But of course, there will be just a little bit of housekeeping to do first, because I did load up the character just for a few minutes earlier today in order to, regain my bearings, remember where we're at. And I noticed that we still haven't cleared our crypt, so that's definitely a good idea. Get some more experience before we start heading into the hardest sections of the game here, as well as hopefully find ourselves a few more treasures to round out our complement of items that we'll be bringing into the extended late game here. So that's probably pretty high up there on our list of things to do here. And then of course in order to enter the Hells, we do have to clear out the Vestibule and take on Garyon, so that will be something that we do as well. Sometimes hard to jump back into a character after taking a break. Oh, definitely. I feel that almost every week, seeing as how I usually am just jumping into these characters, even on normal schedule, after a week of being away. But you slowly get back into it, stretch those muscles, get that memory going, and I'm sure we'll figure it out. And the goal will just be to do so before we lose too many of our lives here. So, in that vein, we'll also do a quick check on our spell list here. Remember which spells are especially on these first 6 slots here, since those are the ones that we have bound to our macros. Nice and easy to cast. Osakubu's is a good one to keep in mind where that is as well. And okay, I think we're just about ready to hop into it here. One of the things that we're going to be looking for as we head to Crypt here is a series of items to round out our resistances a bit, because in general, we're doing okay. If we are only facing off against a specific type, we can generally switch into 1, maybe at least 2 pips of resistance in those departments. But in order to take on Pan, we're going to have to be able to fulfill any of our necessary defenses. Because once we're in there, it's going to be hard to leave, and not only that, when we enter the specific branches where we can find the runes, we're only going to have 1 shot at it, so better hope that we come prepared enough to deal with everything that the game has to throw at us, right? But let us get ready to hop down. We'll definitely have statue form up, giving us the extra, there we go, resistance to negativity here. On top of that, it's kind of tough. We really enjoy having the extra willpower here. I don't want to get caught off guard or by surprise by some nasty spellcasters. But it's always at least worth a thought to debate switching off this ring for something that will give us that 3rd pip of negative resistance, especially going into a undead themed branch, as it were. But we'll maybe hop down with just this for now, since I do appreciate having that willpower around, and we'll see what the game throws at us here. Ooh, wide open area. So you're saying they only get one shot and that we should not miss our chance to blow this opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Whoa, can't read or speak yet. Maybe that's something that we'll get back into the groove of over the course of this, but indeed, you only get one shot. Knees weak, palms are sweaty. Let's do this. But okie dokie. A few skeletal warriors shouldn't be too bad for us to deal with. The Nethack zombie, very much the same. I mean, most of the creatures in this area will be resistant to cold, which is too bad, since that is one of our major area of effect things that we want to hit everybody on our screen with. On top of that, poison, also not going to be super great. So, gonna have to find some way to deal with everything. Luckily, a good old standby Manifold Assault is still going to be a fairly solid spell to get us through. And so that's what we will do to start off here. Just start slapping these buddies around. I do see an enchanted scimitar, so let's make sure that that's not something like dispersal, or distortion rather. And we're just going to spend all of our magic points here, because we can retreat upstairs, heal up, and just throw all of our might at each and every one of these encounters. In fact, let's take all these friends up here as well. Take a few turns. Oops, somehow lost the window access there. But take a few turns to run back out of here, just so we can ensure that we're not facing off against everybody at once. And I've forgotten how much I love playing this character. Something about unarmed combat, swiping away with our stone paws, is innately satisfying to me. Once in a lifetime, but Felids have multiple lives, so... In fact, we're going to be banking on that to hopefully get us through some tough situations today. Something that I was tempering my anxiousness with on going back to this character is the fact that we do have the opportunity to mess up, as long as it's only every so often here, and not too many times. So we have 13k gold. Yes, is that enough? It's never enough, because greed is good. I want all of the money in the world. That's the only thing that will satisfy our Lord and Savior Gozag. Helmet that we can't use. A warm welcome back into the game here. One of the most classic of situations. Here we go. First tough enemy that we're going to be going up against today, that Iron Shot definitely packs a punch to say the least. Fortunately, we're not in one-hit range like we were previously in this run, especially with the help of statue forms, so we'll just throw out a few Manifold Assaults and that is enough to deal with that buddy. Definitely not the hardest fight we're going to be coming across today, but hey, we need a little bit of a warm-up, bit of a build-up time here, right? And Manifold Assault is still doing wonders for us. I'm going to walk away a little bit here, just because that damage reflection is not great for us. I don't want to hit that Death Knight while they are in that state, because we will take some damage back. We should also check, what type of glaive are you? +3 glaive. Interesting. This is the most fun part of the game for you. Character feels strong, there's so many options. I agree. You know, the start, especially on a character like a Felid, is always a bit of a panic situation, trying to figure out what is optimal, because each and every situation might be your last. But we definitely get into a slightly more comfortable position here, with the caveat that we, of course, want to keep our attention high, make sure that we're not making any mistakes that are too stupid, and hopefully that will be enough. Oops. Great start, as I don't even realize that statue form falls off mid-fight there, but hey, didn't get punished too hard, at least not yet, so that's alright. And hey, Attack the Moon, you can barely get a Felid off the ground. Honestly, usually me too. Yet somehow, first try with a Felid Transmuter somehow got us running, or a running head start, I guess is where my brain was trying to go with that. So I will take whatever I can get and just be happy that we somehow are managing to make it by here. Guess I also should have given few people proper hellos here, because Safid, it's always nice to see you again. Same with Cassiopeia Star. Nice to see all the familiar faces. People haven't completely forgotten about me in my extended break off, so I appreciate that a lot. Not that that would be something I'd judge you for, because hey, it's been a while, to say the least. Just glad to be back. Guess I should have also said hello to Attack the Moon, though I can't remember, and I'm sorry if I'm forgetting your name, if we've seen you around before. If we have, then I apologize, but if not, then welcome. Happy to have you. It's interesting, my OBS here let me know that it was your first time popping into our chat, and that's something that I don't remember seeing before, so I don't know if that's a new thing that was implemented, but it's pretty sweet. If so, appreciate the change. Yeah, you thought Thanksgiving up in Canada was one day, not a week? Indeed it was. No, and even my my just family time was only for the weekend here, but afterwards I stuck around to help my my parents out with a few things that needed doing. But I definitely enjoyed good food the entire trip up there, and that's what Thanksgiving is all about to me, because I don't hold a lot of near and dear feelings for the holiday itself, but the food, I can get behind the food. Any holiday that revolves around the meal itself is a good one in my books just for that. And probably not just watch VODs mainly. Well, yeah, no, nice to have you around live this time around here. Appreciate it a whole lot, and hope you enjoy the live session here. The old mom asking you to help her clean the garage, I get it. Yeah, I ended up doing quite a mix of things. I finished off roofing on a house. I put up a bunch of different outdoor lights around a few different structures. It was a very good trip overall. Got a lot of good work done as well. I'm somebody who's a pretty big fan of getting to try out different things and learn new skills, and I appreciate expanding the collection of things that I can try and do myself in the future as well. I find it satisfying to learn new skills for sure. And the phase or the time of trying to figure things out and try and learn how to do it is one of my most valued, I guess. That was part of what I loved about getting into this whole streaming thing even, is just realizing exactly what went into it, rather, and trying to learn all of the ins and outs. I've always said that if I was able to just either go to school the rest of my life, taking different classes, learning new things, or if I could just jump between jobs, taking a new profession each and every day and somehow make a living doing that, I would absolutely love to, because I very much appreciate doing so. So that's what I've made my hobbies, I guess, for the most part, is trying out new things. Okie dokie, crypt going well so far, nothing too scary. Even though we're definitely taking a few rough hits when we do come across some batches of torment and things like that, but that'll always be a bit of a tricky situation, at least until we get something like Necromutation online that will completely negate those aspects. But we did get a Scroll of Acquirement here in Crypt 2, so let's cross our fingers and hope that the luck of just coming back fresh, new thoughts, new perspectives, maybe that'll transfer into the game and we'll get something truly beautiful out of this first Scroll of Acquirement. Get a Ring of Positive Energy, not quite what we were looking for, though I appreciate the positivity in my life. Manual of Transmutations is a bit interesting. Where did we sit with that? Level 20. So we could definitely pick that in order to just have a bit of an easier time getting those higher level skill points, because it does take quite a lot at this stage in the game to increment these skills, as it were. So that will definitely come in handy. Where cat, anything we get from the scroll will be less valuable than just having a random piece of paper to bat around. You're not wrong. There's nothing better than a piece of paper, a bit of fluff on a string, anything to keep ourselves entertained, maybe even a laser pointer. And actually, looking at our skills, I did just realize our fighting is still relatively low. And I do definitely want a decent amount of health going into the latter part of the run here, because if we're going to be using something like Maxwell's capacitive coupling, we're going to have to be able to take a hit, or multiple hits, over the course of, I think it's like 3 to 7 turns for that to pop off. And we can't do anything while we wait for the charge to build up, so I do think it's valuable to potentially pop that back on here and just get our total hit points up to a decent point here. I mean, we're largely relying on the fact that statue form has been giving us not just good defenses, but also that nice increment to our health, offsetting the naturally low health that Felids have to deal with at all points in time. But anything we can do to help alleviate that, and maybe make our lives slightly easier in the future, is greatly appreciated. Ah, hello. Tons of friends here, just the sort of draining on that one skeletal warrior, so that's not too bad, we can deal with that. What about you? A battle axe of flaming on that ancient champion. At some point here, we'll probably want to back up and head towards the stairs, and we can always break this fight off into slightly more manageable chunks here. Plus the fact that, of course, if we're on a stairwell, we're much better off in terms of running ourselves completely to the bone in terms of mana points, because we can always head upstairs to recharge. In fact, we will do so now, especially with that ancient champion next to us. Be able to take that buddy out in relative safety here. I feel like I'm gonna have a bit of a warble to my voice sometimes because I'm in a slightly chilly room, and I can feel my skin raising, not just from the scary undead that surround us, but also just the fact that my circulation sucks and my room is cold. But it's probably a good thing. It keeps me on edge at the very least. Seeing all the skeleton rows makes your LRD figure twitch. No, we never did learn that, because we thought about it for going into Elf 3, just in case we had the green crystals, but I do agree that's one of the more satisfying things to do in the game. I like all of the kind of unique interactions that certain spells and creatures have with each other, and that's definitely one of them. Blowing up anything made of stone or bone. But fortunately, Manifold Assault is pretty much all we need here. Make sure those stone paws reach as far as they possibly can, hitting the entire screen in fell swipes here. It's a thing of beauty. Especially as we're in Crypt 3 here. Oh wow, that's Staircase to 2? So that must have been the welcoming party that we just faced. Hey Boris. I believe we fought Boris on this run. Again, it's been a little while here, and with breaks between each of our previous sessions. But of course that is one of the traits of Boris in general, is that even after defeating the Lord of... I was going to say death, but it's right there, Master of Life and Death themselves. Always a chance that they're going to show up again, causing trouble in the future. So hello once more, friend. That Orb of Destruction is going to hurt real bad if it hits us. Because that's 72 plus 90, 162 potential damage. Big oops on that. But I will just pop a Phantom Mirror, bringing our own Boris into effect. And then mixture of Manifold Assault and our own Boris dealing some good damage. We should be able to take this buddy out. Not too bad. At least this time. Who knows when we'll face them next. And then I'm going to focus on the Vampire Mage here, because those summons are always a bit of a pain in the butt. Fortunately, not too tough here. Take out the 8-headed Hydra next, and not too bad. Able to deal with most of the dangers the dungeon has to throw at us for now. Definitely haven't found too much lying around here. I was hoping, of course, for again some good artifact rings, necklaces, anything to supplement our resistances, make sure that we have all of the tools and options at our disposal necessary for success. But I'm sure we will do just fine. Because at the end of the day, we'll take what we can get and we'll just roll with the punches and try and figure out how to get through with whatever we get. And we are getting real close to being finished the area on top of it all here. Using Manifold Assault against one enemy, not exactly ideal in terms of overall mana usage, but these ancient champions do pack a bit of a wall up here, especially with those iron shots. Nice, missed. So I don't mind trying to take them out by from range rather as they close towards us. Plus one greatsword of freezing is definitely something that we can deal with here, so I don't mind that. Now this is a bit more interesting. Have this lovely lich popping around the corner. We're not exactly in peak condition. We're running out of magic fast here. But we're going to try and pop away here. Luckily, gold distraction is doing a lot for us there. And now I want to manually fight at least a little bit, trying to regain our magic points. If we pop out of statue form, we definitely need enough in order to reinstate that immediately. So, in order to cast Manifold Assault, we'll probably want to be at 11 ideally, but even at 10 magic, I can probably deal with that. Ooh, especially with a bunch of mummies popping out. Why weren't all of you guarding the tomb entrance? What were you doing with your lives? I guess this is a bit of a cool little fortress area that we're at now. But the death curses are gonna be interesting to deal with, to say the least. Ideally, we want to fight those buddies on their own. So, I'm tempted to even throw in a teleport scroll here. We'll want to save a decent number of those for escaping from things like Pan Lords and the Lords of Hell as well. But we do whatever we must to survive. So, I'm going to pop that on. Maybe try and take out the Lich. Unfortunately, we don't manage to do so. But that is a-okay. We'll sit on our stairs here, and in fact, maybe we'll head towards this other stairwell. Now that we've kicked the hornet's nest, all of these enemies should start crawling out to us here, and that does, of course, make it much easier if we're able to make these fights into much more manageable batches rather than all at once. There's our Lich friend. Hello. Goodbye. Not too bad. Definitely better than getting hit by a storm of mummy death curses while also in the middle of a pack of further enemies. Our first Ushabti. Ushabti, that's how that's pronounced probably. These buddies are always interesting, especially since if we eventually get Necromutation online, we'll have to keep a very close eye on when those friends appear, because that Dispel Undead has potential to absolutely destroy our defenses. And they usually show up in conjunction with enemies that will also be throwing different kinds of torment our way. So it's a bit of a rough deal, all things considered. There we go. This is where we're hoping to find the greatest treasures. Ooh, our first curse toe. These are always some of my more feared enemies that we see down in Zot. I've often underestimated them, to say the least here. And so we'll want to take them seriously at least the first couple of times we come across them, just because we're not actually sure yet just how well we can deal with them. So I'm going to throw all of the Manifold Assault, again wanting to get them before they manage to close the gap. And indeed we do, but from my personal experience, I definitely don't want to take that as a be-all end-all that will be okay. Because some fights seem really easy when you get lucky with the rolls, and then in the next encounter, you'll be struggling to the utmost. Let's see, the Ring of Incredulity. There we go. Again, just warming up. It's been a while since I talked on camera. I'm gonna blame everything on that and just use that as my be-all end-all excuse for any mistakes that I make today. But not the best ring. Definitely not exactly what we were looking for. What else do we get? The Ring of the Octopus King. One of my favorite themed items, but unfortunately, usually not too great, especially when you already have a full complement of rings. Ooh, and an unidentified potion. What have we not identified yet? Berserk Rage and Experience. So that's something we can definitely just chug now, because we'll probably not want to be going Berserk anytime soon. And if it's Experience, then, oh boy. Yeah. Yes, please. No? Turns out it is the Berserk, but that's okay. We'll just wait for ourselves to calm down, and then we'll be back on the road. Truly wish that we could afford to wear the Ring of the Octopus King. So fun, but definitely not quite what we're looking for. And with that, we've managed to clear through Crypt. Unfortunately, again, we haven't quite run into too much of what we were looking for here. I was definitely hoping to come up with an assortment of jewelry that could be swapped around no matter where we ended up, but that's okay. And instead, coming up next year, we'll probably make our way to the Vestibule of Hell, try our might up against Garion. It's always an interesting fight. They're able to bring in a whole lot of demon summons, plus all of the monsters that are hanging around the different entrances to Hells. And so we'll try and deal with them. Fortunately, Garion doesn't follow you up the stairs, so it does leave the option to escape generally available depending on what else we may face down there. But I guess without further ado, we'll probably just head down. Again, ideally we'd be able to have a bit more balance in terms of resistances here. Having to trade off our 1 pip of fire resistance for our cold. Not ideal to say the least, but the extra willpower from that ring is just too invaluable to turn down. So it is what it is, and we will use the go command to go to the entrance of Hell. I'm worried that that'll take me downstairs, so what I might do is just look up Hell itself. Oops. That makes sense. That gateway was across Slavin. We don't have a consistent way of flying, but that's okay. Head down this way. I guess our treasure trove, I believe, took potions of resistance. Let's see here. We look that up. 4 potions of resistance, eh? It is tempting. Maybe we'll wait on that. If we're really desperate for finding some more jewelry, we can always cross our fingers and hope that we get an insanely lucky roll on the treasure trove. Though knowing us, it's probably going to be just full of weapons or armors, neither of which is going to be exceptionally useful on our character here, but that's okay. It's time to take a little bit of a deep breath and prepare to head down. Things like Condenser Vein are going to be pretty useful here, depending on which kinds of clouds we get, just because of the sheer amount of AoE we want to be throwing down. We're going to be dropped straight into the center of the vestibule, and it's a big wide open area with all of the monsters that guard the 4 gates coming in, as well as, again, any of the summons that come from the Guardian themselves. But I don't think we'll necessarily have to immediately burn a haste. I guess what we could do is Potion Petition right off the bat. We have a nice amount of money, and why not? Let's play it a little bit safe here, since again we are warming up, we're getting back into the groove. Let's be careful with it, shall we? Resistance and invisibility. Most of the monsters we'll be facing, I believe, will be able to see invisible. So that's not great. Resistance, though, that gets around one of the problems that we've been discussing this entire time, so that's pretty solid in its own right. And in fact, maybe we'll just go with resistance, and we'll go for 1 more Potion Petition. Not great. Unfortunately, the Might and Haste comes paired with Berserk Rage. So I'm glad we're getting these out of the way. I mean, In a normal fight situation where we're in panic mode, the second option here, heal wounds, curing, and magic, would be awesome. Not especially useful for us at the moment, of course, since we are looking more so for preparation things. So we'll just take the cheapest option, and let's do this one last time, crossing our fingers. Heal wounds and haste. Haste is pretty much what I was going for. Lignification, again, cancels out the entire purpose of doing this. So even though this might have all been unnecessary, we're spending money where we don't necessarily have to. I feel comfortable going down with that extra resistance, the speed as well, and hopefully we'll be able to transition that into a solid fight here. Let's head down. Interesting. We get some good walls here, actually. As long as we're careful not to get pushed off every which way. This is a very defensible point, to say the least. So, let's pop into our spells and take a moment. Ogleb's Toxic Radiation will affect the Hell Knight themselves, as well as the Necromancer, so that might actually be worth it to pop into view, get some AoE damage started at the very least. Unfortunately, not going to do a lot against that Blizzard Demon, but that's okay. We do have 2 pips of Resist Cold, thanks to that Resistance Potion, so that's not too bad. In fact, maybe we will start using a bit of magic here. I want to be slightly cautious, just because the fight is only beginning. And here we go. The Tormentors begin to come. I guess a Soul Eater. Right, Tormentors are the other blue bad boy. But I'm just biding our time, being cautious. We could pop a Brilliance Potion. It's a bit late now. We have spent some of our magic points, but it's definitely not a bad idea in order to preserve what we have left here, while still being able to dish out some damage all around. Instead, I think we'll wait it out and we'll just be heading upstairs if things start to look uncontrollable. And there they are, Garion themselves. It's actually been a long while since I did a 15 rune run. I can tell because I haven't seen the new sprite yet for Garion. Looks much better than the previous iteration. That's real sweet. But the main thing with him, of course, is that he can tail slap us from a distance. He has the reaching effect that polearm users do, and that summon Hellbeast spell, which will just bring a whole bunch of those bad boys into existence. We're still not quite at peak monster density here, so I'm reticent to go for the condenser vein right off the bat. But I think I will box of beasts, can bring in some summons of our own, and then as everybody begins to file in coming our way, can definitely start thinking about that condenser vein. And do one more check on Garion. Huge health pool, of course, so it's going to take a little bit to get through that. Luckily, his other defenses, not incredible, not exactly something to be extremely scared about at the very least, so that's good. And let us think for just a quick moment, taking one more look for resistances, nothing on him. That means that I probably will not go for OTR. I was gonna start radiating some toxicity here, but I decided, of course, to save our poor Oxbeast here. Right. Definitely takes a little bit for my brain to recalibrate, get back into the groove of things, but we don't want to hurt them necessarily. Might just Phantom Mirror Garion here. Unfortunately, our version is hidden from our sight, so we aren't able, or they aren't able to take actions, but hopefully they'll pop out over the next couple hits here and begin to lay down the hurt. There they are. Hello, sir. And here we go. We're starting to run low on the magic, which is a shame too bad for sure, because I would like to commit to this fight still. I think we're in a decent position otherwise. We do have Potion Petition available, could hope to get magic, though with how our luck went earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if we got all Berserk options or something silly like that. So instead, let us take a look through all of our things here. 9 Scrolls of Summoning are going to come in handy for sure, though I might want to save those against certain endgame lords it will be facing. So instead, I think I will start that potion petition. Do immediately see magic on the list there, paired with some half-decent things. I mean, we could get free might and brilliance out of it as well. Only 500 and some gold? Why the heck not? Have a bunch of money, and now we can just dish out the damage here. Can start using Manifold Assault right away, since that'll get by all of the resistances. Especially with all of the enemies having a large variety of said resistances. It's definitely handy to just be able to smack them around a little bit here. Garion themselves not taking a whole lot of damage yet. But, you know, I think this is about as high as we're seeing for density over the first few turns, so I will use a Condenser Vein, hoping to get some good clouds. Cold isn't the best, it's definitely not horrible. But the issue there is that a lot of undead, of course, are resistant. And the Hellbeasts themselves. So this is where Trample starts to come in. They will be able to push us off the gateway here. As long as we're cognizant of that, though, and able to fight our way through, that should be okay. Even if we get pushed off, we can always take people for a small jaunt, try and blink back on. Or, worst comes to worst, try and teleport, get to one of the gates, fight for a little bit there, establish a safe spot, and then make our way back towards the gateway once more. So, Manifold Assault is going to continue doing its work. One of the beautiful parts, of course, of Go's Egg is the gold distraction that we're able to dish out here. Definitely keeping a lot of these monsters distracted, stopping them from hitting us. And now I have to ask myself the question, do I want to just step down towards Garion? It'll mean we're off the stairs, but our clone here is of course able to reach past us in order to help out, so it wouldn't take away too much of the damage that they're outputting, and they'll be standing on the stairs keeping it clear of enemies, at least for a short time. On top of that, we're no longer going to be spending magic just to hit one enemy on the screen, so let's slap away with our stone paws, able to take that buddy out. No problem. You love to see it. It's definitely one of the smoother Vestibule of Hell fights that I've had relative to previous attempts. Sometimes it's a bit of a cat and mouse game of consistently and constantly retreating back upstairs, coming back down, retreating up, healing up, coming back down, over and over again until we have a favorable result. But not too bad. Let's even tell our friends here to maybe start heading out this way. And I'm going to play it safe, waiting out turns on the stairwell. No need to risk anything, especially when we have a bunch of Hellbeasts of our own doing most of the work for us. Love to see it. I'm even being a little bit cheeky and risky with our mana reserves here, because as I'm repeating over and over again as a bit of a mantra here, we can always go upstairs, and that's awesome. Stair dancing is one of the more valuable resources at our disposal at any given time. Ah, and there we go. Hell Knight comes into view. Not this one here, but this one with a War Axe of Distortion. We could probably survive a trip to the Abyss. Hell, we've done it before. But still not ideal necessarily, so it would be nice to try and take that buddy out before they manage to close the gap. Unfortunately, that first Manifold Assault not doing too much work in that regard. And now we must ask ourselves, do we take the chance at being vanished once more here? And probably is the answer I come to. I mean, we do have enough magic. Ooh, we don't quite have enough magic for Manifold Assault. I forgot that it rounds up when it's halved there. So, I think we will just wait a single turn, and of course we immediately get cast into the Abyss, and on top of that, see a gateway out. So, hey, that was a bit of a wacky mix of things. Might as well take this to our advantage, and we'll actually take some time to regain at least some of our magic before running straight back upstairs. Hello once again, friends. Did you miss me? Free Amnesia Scroll indeed. It's not a bad deal by any stretch of the imagination, I'll take it. And there we go, we've definitely managed to take out the core component of the welcoming party here, though of course each gateway will have its own contingent of enemies. We're actually pretty lucky that our fighting didn't draw too much attention, all things considered. I'm generally used to attracting a bit more of a crowd when we first enter in. Part of that even just due to the fact that we had this incredible setup in terms of all these intervening walls. This is actually the first time I've seen either an undead Kraken? I guess it's probably a regional thing, isn't it? But an undead one as well as a simulacrum. That's pretty wild. It's always interesting to see that even after so long of playing this game and running into so many permutations and combinations of whatever it may throw at you, I still get surprised and still manage to see brand new obstacles that have never graced my presence before. But here I'm going to run away a little bit, especially considering the fact that it takes us a heck of a lot longer to get anywhere in statue form. I'd like to be standing on top of the stairs. I see now, too, that I was not paying enough attention to notice that we got marked, and that's why we're suddenly the center of attention here, bringing all of the friends to bear. But that is a-okay. We'll probably just head up, heal up all of our magic, and once more into the breach. The only risk associated with that, or I guess the main risk associated with doing so, is that there will be free hits gone by all of our enemies as we pop down. But that's not the end of the world here. As long as we're able to take them out in relatively short order, it's still generally worth the trade-off of getting a complete heal. And so it goes. Great maces galore. You know what, let's just keep it up. Especially since in this specific situation, most of our enemies are situated on the bottom side of our screen. And if we take a good look here, of course, that means that we'll generally be limited to just 2 enemies following us upstairs. Again, we'll thank our lucky stars that we got such a invaluable setup here, and very much try and take advantage of said scenario. We also are seeing a decent number of fire-based enemies, which isn't exactly our forte right now. It's our only resistance that's lacking in our standard state here. But as long as nothing's laying down too much hurt, we should be okay. Also, I had forgotten to pick up the Horn of Geryon, which will allow us to summon our own hell beasts into a fight. Definitely a relatively useful evocable item, especially since all evocable items are pretty nifty. Especially with the decent training that we've put into the category thus far. And it's looking like that will pretty much be it. Just a few more stragglers as it were, wandering about, and holy moly. Getting through this almost too fast. I was trying my very best to put off the really scary stuff for as long as humanly possible here, but we're getting to that stage where we're gonna have to start delving into some of the scarier sections of the game. Normally, I definitely like to go to Pan first in general. It's a bit more... only word that came to head is dealable, which is not even a real word, I don't think, but manageable. There we go. It's a bit more manageable in general, especially with the fact that it has actual full levels that you're containing. You're not dealing with the hell effects raining down on you every few turns. And so you actually do manage to get some periods of rest, but like we mentioned earlier, we do want to be situated with a fully rounded out set of items so that we can deal with each and every one of the branches. And right now I'm mostly concerned for running into the realm of Cerebov, the Fire Panlord, because our fire resistances are definitely lacking just a little bit. On the flip side of that, we could start heading down to the Hells. Generally, I know for me personally, I find them slightly harder to deal with, but we at least know exactly what we're handling. And if things start to go bad, you can just head to an upstairs and immediately get zipped up right to the vestibule here. No problems whatsoever. So, here comes the decision making. Maybe we'll take a small moment take a sip, mule things over in the old brain here, and then we'll have to decide what the plan is for the future.